Jamal stared at the photo for longer than he meant to. The tiny fingers wrapped around his thumb looked impossibly small, impossibly trusting, like they didn't yet understand the weight of the world they'd one day have to carry. He smiled, soft and unguarded, the kind of smile that only came when no one else was watching. Uncle Mal x Beany Boy, he had typed earlier, fingers hovering before he hit post. It felt simple, almost too simple, for something that meant so much more. Even now, sitting alone with the quiet hum of the room around him, he found himself whispering, "You don't know it yet, little man, but you just changed everything." The past year had been a storm. Not the kind you see rolling in from the horizon, where you have time to prepare, to board up windows and brace yourself. No, this one came suddenly, violently, turning everything upside down before Jamal even had a chance to understand what was happening. There were headlines, opinions, voices from people who didn't know him, speaking as if they did. Social media became both a mirror and a weapon, reflecting back versions of himself that felt unfamiliar, distorted. "Stay strong," people would say. "Don't read the comments. Just ignore it." But how do you ignore something that seems to follow you everywhere? At night, when the world quieted down, the noise got louder, doubts crept in, regret, confusion, questions with no easy answers. Had he made the wrong choices? Had he trusted the wrong people? Had he, somewhere along the way, lost a part of himself? And then came the moment that shifted everything. It wasn't dramatic, no music playing in the background, no sudden realization that hit like lightning. Just a phone call. "You're an uncle." Jamal blinked. "Wait, what?" A laugh came through the other end. "Bro, you're an uncle, he's here." For a second, the world stopped. All the noise, all the stress, all the heaviness, it paused, like someone had pressed mute on everything except that one piece of news. "He's here?" "Yeah, healthy, loud, already got attitude too." Jamal laughed, a real laugh this time, the kind that came from somewhere deeper than relief. "I'm coming," he said, already grabbing his keys. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and new beginnings. Jamal walked in with a mix of excitement and something else he couldn't quite name, something softer, more fragile. He wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew one thing: this moment mattered. When he finally stepped into the room, everything slowed down again. There he was. Tiny, wrapped in a blanket, eyes barely open, like the world was still too bright, too big. "Careful," his sister said, smiling as she gently placed the baby into Jamal's arms. For a moment, he froze. "I got him?" he asked, almost in disbelief. "You got him," she nodded. And just like that, he did. There's something surreal about holding new life. It's not just the weight, though that alone is enough to ground you in the moment. It's the realization that this small, breathing person is at the very beginning of their story. No mistakes yet. No regrets. No past to haunt them. Just possibility. Jamal looked down at his nephew, his heart doing something unfamiliar, something bigger than pride, bigger than happiness. Responsibility. Not the kind people talk about casually, like paying bills or showing up on time. This was different. This was, what kind of example will you be? This was, what will he learn from you, whether you mean to teach him or not? This was, who are you, really? You good? His sister asked quietly. Jamal nodded, though his eyes hadn't left the baby. "Yeah. He paused, searching for the words. "I didn't expect this." She smiled knowingly. Nobody ever does. That night, everything felt different. The same phone, the same apps, the same world that had felt overwhelming just days before. But something had shifted inside him. The noise didn't disappear, but it lost its power. Because suddenly, there was something more important. Someone more important. He found himself thinking differently. Not just about the past, but about the future. Before, his decisions had felt immediate, reactive, driven by emotion, by circumstance, by whatever was happening in the moment. Now there was a long game. A bigger picture. What kind of uncle do you want to be? He asked himself. The answer didn't come right away, but he knew it mattered. Days turned into weeks. Visits became routine. Jamal started showing up more, not just physically, but emotionally. He'd sit for hours, sometimes in silence, just watching his nephew sleep. Other times, he'd talk about nothing and everything. "You don't understand now," he'd say softly, "but life gets complicated. People make it complicated." He'd pause, looking at the tiny face in front of him. "But it doesn't have to stay that way." One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the window, Jamal caught his reflection in the glass. For a second, he didn't recognize the person staring back. Not because he looked different, but because he felt different. Calmer. More grounded. More intentional. He thought back to everything he'd been through, the mistakes, the misunderstandings, the moments he wished he could redo. And for the first time, he didn't feel the need to run from them. "They're part of it," he said quietly to himself. "Part of the story. Part of the growth." That's when the caption came to him. Not all at once, but piece by piece. He opened his phone, scrolled to the photo, and started typing. "Uncle Mal x Beany Boy." He smiled. Simple, personal, real. Then he paused and kept going. "Even though this chapter of my life has been challenging." He stopped, reread it, and nodded. Because it was true. There was no point pretending everything had been easy. No point sugarcoating the struggles. It has also been extremely rewarding. Another pause. Because that was true too. Growth doesn't come without discomfort. Lessons don't come without mistakes. And I couldn't be more grateful for the perspective it's given me. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. There it was. Not perfect. Not polished. But honest. When he hit post, he didn't overthink it. Didn't check the comments immediately. Didn't wait for validation. Because for once, it wasn't about that. It was about capturing a moment. A feeling. A shift. Later that evening, he sat with his nephew again, the room quiet except for the soft rhythm of breathing. "You know," Jamal said, gently rocking him, "you came at the right time." The baby stirred slightly, as if responding. Jamal chuckled. "Yeah, I know you didn't plan it like that, but still." He looked down, his expression softening. "You reminded me of something important." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "That life keeps going, no matter what." Outside, the world was still messy. Still unpredictable. Still full of noise and opinions and chaos. But inside that room? There was peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because, for the first time in a long time, Jamal felt aligned with himself. Grounded. Clear. Ready. "Listen, Beany Boy," he said softly, a small smile forming, "I'm not gonna pretend I have everything figured out.